saving this subject for another day, but I'm at least going to introduce it today because it is timely, and we've to a certain extent discussed pieces of it before, and maybe we will when we have a little bit more depth. Are you familiar with an X handle called ESPN Bet?
Yeah,
ESPN Bet. I'm not here to say that there's something evil about that X account or what it represents, because it is what it is. It's the world we live in. Sports betting is obviously not going anywhere, correct?
Right.
But it's a really good example of how it creeps in very pernicious fashion, and I think to a certain extent brings us all down. Let me just read the tweet. Victor Wembanyama finished with 28 points in a brutal beat for his over bettors. Because the headline reads, Wemby goes under his 28.5 point prop.
Wow. He
checked out of the game with over 9 minutes left. And then there's an emoji, the eyes, emoji, like, oh my God, what? And I'm thinking, it's all true. It's factual. But it's taking us to a place that has nothing to do. More of us, I guess I should say, because it's always been there, but more of us to a place, I think, that has nothing to do with what you should come out of that game with, right? Because presumably he didn't go back in because there was no need for him to go back in.
Correct? Yes.
And yet, it's ESPN Bet, so that's their bit. They're going to play off of it. And I don't know, I read it a couple different ways. It almost comes off as, well, is this suspicious? Or is it just, well, it's bad news? And yeah, it is bad news, I guess, if you bet on the over. But I don't care. It takes us down roads that have nothing to do with what that game was supposed to represent. You know what I mean? I just shake my head about it, and I'm not a Puritan. I get it. I understand people are adults. Well, most that are betting, hopefully.
Yep.
You do what you want to do with it. But it's like, my God, man. That's what you're left with. That's what you come up with out of that game, as opposed to, well, it was another game. We were talking about it earlier. There's been nothing but blowouts in this tournament recently, and there was no reason to put them on the court. I don't view it as, what a bad break for the bettors. Well, it's on the list of things, of developments, of themes out of that game. That'd be like number 50 or 51 on the list for me. I don't know. What do you think?
I hadn't thought of it. It's funny. My mind immediately went to your guy, the old Indiana quarterback, who apparently bet like $40,000 or 40,000. There's a new story. There's a new development there. But in the story, because he's in Texas Tech now, I think, right?
For the moment, yeah.
In the story where they talk about how he's under investigation and he's probably not going to play and who sees what's going to happen, they write how Texas Tech's odds have shifted to win the Big 12 or make the college football playoff.
I know. Yeah,
this college quarterback, he bet on games. You're not supposed to do that. The Texas Tech Red Raiders were a 5-1 favorite to win the Big 12. That number has now changed to 8-1 with this news. It is everywhere. It's omnipresent for sure. Well, I always think this, I'm guessing I know how you'll feel about this, but, and again, especially ESPN Bet. Now, I don't think they have the same type of partnership. I think it's going away a little bit from actually ESPN.
Is that right?
Yeah, there's something where it didn't work as well as they had hoped it would, like the in-house betting deal.
Good.
But, they have, Greenios has Fortenbaugh, that guy. And he's fine. He's good TV. But they'll do a segment where they'll go around the table and he'll go, McNutt,
yes.
Knicks, Cavs, what do you like?
Yeah.
And she'll say, I like Karl Anthony Towns over 3.5 3-pointers. And then he'll go, Big Perk, you've got the Thunder and the Spurs. What do you think? And they just go around and they just pick their props.
They do.
And
they do it in the afternoon too.
They do, and that's fine. Like, that's really nothing content. You know what I mean?
Totally.
You're not really,
content.
Which is fine. We all do nothing.
You're not
content.
even really saying anything that gives you any knowledge of what you think might happen that night.
No, and you're kind of disguising it, and I'm really breaking this thing down.
Yes.
Wow, the 3-point. And again, there is value to that. Like, when people are making bets, they are looking at, all right, they have bad 3-point shooting defense. So I think, or they like to give up corner threes. So I'm going to go, Jalen Williams, if he didn't have a pulled hamstring and was ruled out for Game 7, which that's a little nugget from today. Although, what's the difference? He barely played.
Well,
you can say, I'd like J-Dub to go over his 2.5 threes, and that's your segment right there. God. And they go around it.
It's
every day.
Every day. It's again, I'm not here to say it has to go away, but I think for me, it has a wearing effect. Because it just gets pounded into your head. Narratives that have nothing to do with in all honesty, the competition itself, the outcome of the game, strategy having to do with the game, nothing to do with any of it. It's like, I don't need it. It doesn't make me feel any more entertained or informed, or whatever the case may be. Speaking of, I guess, betting, did you see the update in the Terry Rozier story?
I just saw the headline.
Not talked about it. We probably should have gotten to it. I think it broke yesterday. So the feds have hit him. He's the former NBA player, pretty well known, right?
Yeah.
He gets hit with some new federal charges involving sports bribery. And this is pretty specific. The indictment, it was returned by a federal grand jury in Brooklyn, alleges that Rozier solicited and accepted a bribe of $100,000 in exchange for tipping off a group of bettors about his plans to exit a March 2023 game early because of an injury while he was playing for the Hornets. Rozier, according to the I guess indictment, devised a predetermined bribe arrangement with other people, including co-defendants named Marvis Fairley and De Niro Laster.
Laster, former Gopher football player.
Seriously?
Local angle, in the Kill era.
Forgot about that. To withdraw
everybody did.
From the game so lucrative wagers could be placed. However, here's the kicker that makes it sound real. Not all of the bets on Rozier's performance were successful because he ended up collecting 4 rebounds during the game. As a result, following the game, Rozier accepted a discount. In other words, instead of the $100,000 he agreed to accept $70,000.
It's an expensive rebound.
I think part of the point of this that makes it believable, too, is it's pretty hard if the ball comes to you off the rim and you're under the basket.
You got to grab it.
You kind of got to grab it, right? And it's kind of hard to not grab a rebound if it's right in front of you.
Unless you're Julius Randle in the playoffs. Sorry.
Sad but true. Well, he wouldn't have been in a position to grab.
Good point. Rebound. It wouldn't have gone right in front of him.
So again, now his attorney is saying these are all theories. That's all they are. They're just trying to make something stick. So I don't know how good their evidence is. I know that when you make the allegation this specific, and you're talking about a bribe for 100, you can think, well, NBA players, do they really need the 100,000? I mean, you know how that goes. Everybody wants more money. But when you reduce it to a single game like this and that kind of a bribe, and then you even say, sorry, I got a couple rebounds I shouldn't. So, yeah, you don't have to give me the 100. So we'll cut it to whatever, what did I say, $70,000 instead.
70 grand, yep.
That's pretty specific stuff and pretty scary stuff as well. And let's face it, be ready, because it's going to be, it will be more the rule rather than the exception. It's coming. I know people say, well, actually, the mechanisms in place make it easier to see when cheating goes on of this magnitude. I don't think it's going to stop people. I don't. And I think, again, the fact that we've gone from one extreme, running as far away as possible from gambling and pro sports, to the other, which is we can't get enough of each other, we're going to see more and more of this take place, and none of it, I think, is a particularly good look. And more than anything else, it's an exhausting look that I'm actually supposed to spend a minute thinking about, well, yeah, the Spurs are so far ahead they didn't have to play long enough, so they didn't collect on the over. on Wemby's scoring total. Happy for you. Let's come back and chat with Lavelle. I've got a really good toss-up question for him that pertains to two very timely national sports stories. We'll get into some local and regional stuff as well when we return.
You're listening to Barrero on The Fan.
It happens only once a year.
Yada, what do you got? It's a Friday Football Beast edition of the afternoon aardvark on a very warm Friday afternoon here in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Barrero and Guardsy with you for another hour. No summer hours yet. And Lavelle Neal III is kind enough to join us via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline. Hello? Can you hear us? Did I hit the right button? No, let me do it this way. I didn't do it. Let me try it over here. I thought this would work. I wanted to do this all on my own, Guardsy, because the phone bank isn't working here. But hold on, give me a second. Let me see if this will work. Let me try it this way. That's not working. You might have to pot them up. It's for some reason my cursor is not allowing me to get them on the air. Lavo, can you hear us okay?
Well, you got new technology in there?
You know what I think it is? No, the technology is the same. It's just setting it like the phone bank system itself is not plugged in for some reason. It's not on at all. So you do it through the computer mouse, but for some reason it's not cooperating with me for some. I don't exactly know why. I think some of it.
Yeah, because when Russo filled in earlier this week, and he had an episode in which they were unable to go to break, so he had to basically talk for like another 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, he loves that.
We've been there.
Yeah,
he said he said he was terrified.
He loves the sound of his own voice. He kind of does, kind of doesn't. You're right about that. Here's your toss-up question that I think will allow you and us to cover a lot of ground. Which of the following two concepts has a better chance of success? Baseball, Major League Baseball salary cap, or the NBA's new anti-tanking lottery plan?
Wow.
A lot to think about right there. You weren't ready for that, were you, Lavelle?
No. I really don't think, and maybe you can disagree with me if you like, but I don't think that is tanking really that serious of an issue in the NBA. It may be for like the last 2 or 3 terrible teams in the league every year, but I don't know how big of a deal it is. Is that something that's kind of overblown a little bit, and they're over legislating?
Well, here's what I'll answer. They may be over legislating, but it's much more than 2. There were 9 teams that were tanking this year, to varying degrees. 9. That's a third of the league, which is why I think they had to try to consider some things. I think the better question, for me at least, the better question is whether what they've come up with will do the trick, whether it's an overcorrection, whether it'll have the intended consequences. And Guardsy, I don't even know if I can explain it to people. Basically, the key to it is if you're a bottom 3, you actually get fewer ping pong balls than if you were in 4 through, is it 8 or 9?
4 through 10.
4 through 10.
Yes.
And there's 16 teams totally now in the new lottery. So that includes some playoff teams or play-in teams as well. But if you're bottom 3, you actually get less of a chance. And again, it's not much of a difference. It's a difference of between 2 ping pong balls, and I think the next group has 3 ping pong balls. And I think it goes back to 2, doesn't it? I don't think anybody gets 4.
Well, I think after the trade deadline, like a team like the Bulls, I don't think they were interested in winning after the trade deadline. After they moved Io and a couple other players, I don't think they were interested in. But there may be some teams that just were going to be bad going into the season and knew they were going to be bad. It got to the point where we're throwing our hands up because we can't. There's too many problems to fix on this team. Do they deserve to be sprayed down with suck repellent if that happens?
Well, yeah, possibly. Yeah, I think that's very possible. I don't know.
Now the baseball salary cap. I don't see how the owners are going to win this one unless they whack the entire 2027 season, which there's been veiled threats about being willing to do that. I can't see them going through it. because that's basically having a second COVID year within a span of 6 seasons or 7 seasons.
Yeah.
I don't know if teams really want to endure that. I think eventually they will cave like they did the last time you tried to push for a salary cap. So I would say it's a better chance of the anti-tanking measures or the suck repellent that the league is trying to concoct working than baseball getting a salary cap. I don't see it happening. I understand what the owners are saying, and actually they're full of bleep a little bit too here, because they're claiming that the fans want a salary cap. Whether that may be somewhat true or not, I think that's very disingenuous of dragging the fans into the conversation, because what fans want are beer prices not to be $15 a cup and tickets to be cheaper. That's what they really want, so they can come out to games and have a good time at the ballpark. Yeah, it'd be great if there was more competitive balance, and if they could figure out a way to legislate that. Good luck to them, but I hope they don't start tugging on fans' heartstrings about trying to do things for them in mind, because they want, in the end, they want their franchise values to skyrocket, which, based on the other other main professional leagues in the men's sports world, franchise values have gone up faster than baseball, because baseball doesn't have a salary cap.
Well, but
that's what they want out of it.
Yeah, you've answered. I mean, but I think you're giving some credence to their notion if that's the case. Here's the way. I mean, I don't think it's illogical. I think it's just common sense that the average fan might want the things you ask for, but the average fan also wants a feeling of greater competitive balance. And again, baseball's a weird game. Money doesn't automatically, guarantee that you're going to be better. There's a lot more factors in baseball, as we know. But when I looked at the numbers, I think what fascinated me the most was the floor number, which I think what the owners are proposing, at least at the start of what's going to be a long process, was $170 million, wasn't it, Garzi? And and that's like what, 50 more than we're at now. Whatever we're at now, it's not even close. And I'm saying
at the rate, there's like $67 million to get to the floor.
Yeah. So I look at that and say, yeah, I think most fans would applaud that, to say, we're not going to let franchises, there's going to be penalties if you try to stay at, 40, 50, 60 million forever because you think it's unfair. It obligates the lower echelon teams to spend more. I don't know if baseball will ever, I agree with you, I don't know if they'll ever get to a place where they would accept a cap on the max end, because players are pretty much dug in there. But the number, I mean, to me, it's important as on top of it was requiring teams to spend more money than they spend, given the amount of revenue that exists, certainly that they get to revenue sharing, et cetera. That certainly is something that I think would appeal to fans, wouldn't it? That part of it?
I think I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying I don't want the owners use that as a main tenet of their reasoning for why they want this done. They all want their franchise to be worth more, so their net worth can grow. And that's the big thing. And I think this is part of the calculus that the Twins relied on when they decided to hold on to the team. Because in 5 years, if all this works out in 5 years, the value of the team will be doubled. And in addition to the family, there are people who just bought into the team will probably double their investment. I think that's why they decided to hold on to the team. But definitely having a floor. And here's the thing: another component about this that's being overlooked is the TV revenue sharing part, which I've talked about on this station a few times, about finally each sharing their local television revenue equally. The proposal is for 100% of those revenues to be split equally among teams, which I think is a major development when the Dodgers are bringing in $330 million in television revenue every year, and the Twins, last time it was reported, 58, and it's gone down since then because of their local television provider has gone haywire. So, to me, I'm curious to see how things will balance out just because of that, because that definitely would have to put a drag on what the Dodgers, the Yankees, and the Mets are doing in terms of signing players. So, to me, that's a significant component, because 5 years ago, the big market owners did not want to give up money through revenue sharing that way, from television revenue sharing that way. for them to announce that 100% would be shared equally, that's a big step to me.
Well, what's the answer? I mean, I think you grant that the current system is pretty fundamentally flawed at this point, and that you got to at least. I mean, what I've read is that most people don't think the owners expect their initial proposal to be accepted at all. I guess the open question is how dug in they're going to be, but that it's to get the conversation started a little bit. And I mean, does it make the rich owners, do they feel any better if they at least know that the teams that they give the money to for revenue sharing will, under this proposal at least, would no longer be able to pocket as much of the money as they currently, in many cases, as they currently do, that they would have to spend a much more respectable amount on the baseball operation itself, including in payroll?
Well, the other thing I heard through all this is that the union has actually floated some sort of soft floor in terms as part of their proposal, and they have tried to stay away from that area for the last 10, 12 years, because in theory, if you agree to a floor, then that means you also agree to a ceiling. So they didn't want to go down that road.
Right.
But they have floated out a possible soft floor, which I think, would be necessary to make sure, like the Marlins and the Twins or whoever else would just like pocket the extra money or count it as, overall revenue. So, I think by the time this is over, Dan, and whenever we do play baseball in 2027, if there's baseball, whatever CBA that's going to be agreed upon I think it's going to look much different than either one of the proposals that were just tossed out in the last couple of days. I think the hard negotiating will take place, and then at the end you'll start horse trading, and then I think the final agreement won't look a lot like either one of these proposals that we're all complaining about today.
What in your mind are the chances that the season ultimately does get canceled?
I think there's going to be a work stoppage. I don't know if it's going to be canceled. Like I said, that the owners tried to do that in 94 and with the lockout, and they ended up caving. I don't see how they're more dug in unless dealing with COVID gave them a playbook how to ride out these situations. The Twins were steadfast in not laying off any employees during COVID. I don't think that'd be the case this time around. I think they would lay off a bunch of employees. The Cubs did in COVID. The Pirates suspended payments to pension plans. I think a lot of teams just lay off employees and just write it out and show and as a sign that they're digging their heels in on this one. And if they want a cap, they're going to do whatever it takes to get one. I hope it doesn't get to that. I really don't. I hope cooler heads could prevail. This is a $13 billion industry. Probably headed to 14. There's enough money for everybody, for the players to be millionaires, for the owners to be billionaires. And the other thing, too, is that the mid-level free agents should be happy about some of these talks, because they're the ones that have been marginalized the most in the last 5, 6, 7 years. And they stand to cash in more with a salary floor or ceiling or both.
Lavelle E. Neal III joining. If you have questions or observations, reaction, 64686 is, of course, how you can reach us. 952 guy has a question for you. Would you ask Lavelle his thoughts on saying he would not trade Royce Lewis for a guaranteed World Series a few years ago? Did you really say that?
That was a stupid question by Common. Kind of, well, if you was guaranteed a World Series.
Oh, I see.
This is a goofy question, so I'm going to give him a goofy answer. No, I wouldn't trade him.
Oh.
So Common hasn't forgotten that one.
Would you trade him now?
And that was, well, would the Cubs want Royce Lewis? I think the Twins would happily make the trade right now. I don't know.
Well, yeah.
He's actually hitting a few homers now for St. Paul. I texted someone the other day, and they said, homers like the only component here that needs to come into play for him to be considered solved here. So, there's some other things they're working on him with his swing, so he can sustain success there. But at least he got off to a decent start. I'm curious to see what happens when they decide. I think my guess is going to come back in about another 2 weeks. I think I'm eyeing the weekend series against the Cardinals that starts June 12th. I think is a possible return for Royce. But sorry, my sister's texting me. But I don't know where they're going to play him. I think they're happy with Brooks at third. They've got better shortstop play now. Your guy, Luke Keishow's struggling. He may have to go down next. If Royce comes back, maybe they'll just put Brooks at second and put Royce back at third. So, but, first overall pick in the draft, he's running out of chances. They're giving him every inch of the rope here to try to resuscitate his career, and hopefully he'll grab onto it and take advantage of it. Because, he's actually a nice guy, a good kid. He works hard and he means well. Sometimes I think an effort to go with whatever angle you're pursuing, sometimes it gets him into trouble with some of his comments, but I don't think he means any harm. You actually want to see someone like him succeed. So we'll see if he can bear down and find a swing that works for him and come back up and be productive.
Are we going to trade Joe Ryan?
I mentioned this in my Sunday 3-2 pitch. The next month is interesting for the Twins because if they're hovering around 500 a month from now, and it's July 1st, coming up on July 1st, and they're hovering around 500, that means they're going to be within a game or two of the last wild card. How could you really sell a trade in Joe Ryan?
Oh, come on. You know better than that. You know this management better than that. Of course they could. They do it with a clear conscience.
You never know. I think they've smarted it. I think they took enough beatings and verbal and lashings on this radio station to think about doing something different the next time they're in this position. So I'm curious to see what happens over this next month. They got to play the Dodgers. The Cardinals are a good team. The Diamondbacks are over 500. So it's going to be a little bit tougher competition. If they come out of this, still in the range of a spot here, they've got to have a conversation about what would it look like if we went the other way this time instead of just gutting everything. We'll see.
Yeah, all right. I'll say. I guess I'll take your word for it. I don't know what to think. Your White Sox club might be for real, by the way.
There's some hope there. It looks like. Now I don't know. I didn't know any of these pitchers. Davis Martin, who the hell is he? And the guy who gave up the leadoff homer to Buxton and then retired, didn't give up a hit for 18 plate appearances. He's got some good stuff too. The signing of Murakami was a stroke of genius. Jaws were dropping where I was at Monday when Murakami hit the 98-mile-an-hour fastball from Zebby Matthews that was on the inside part of the plate, and he just handled it down the right field line and into the stands for a homer. That told me this guy could hit Major League pitching, and every team that was thinking about signing him during the offseason was wrong, except for the White Sox, because apparently they saw something that said this guy can come over from Japan and rake, and he's doing it. He's on pace for 60 homers, man. It's pretty remarkable. It's got the fan base energized, and it's got them, it was just a few years ago they lost 121 games, which was the most in the history of Major League Baseball at the time. But now they got some young players. They got people to build around. They got a home run threat, which people will pay money to go see a guy hit a ball in the seats. And so the South Side of Chicago's a happy place, and maybe by the time they're ready to win the World Series, they'll probably be the Hammond, Indiana White Sox.
Is the automated ball strike system, in your mind, a success thus far?
I'm going to say yes. I think you want to get calls right as much as possible. I do know there's also the concern that in this day and age, since, you just mentioned it earlier in the show about getting chummy with gambling websites and casinos and whatnot, that the final pitch of the World Series could be screwed up by a home plate umpire with billions of dollars on the line. I don't think they want to, I think they want to avoid having that scenario come into place. So, yeah, having the ABS system, I think it's been a good thing. It's been interesting to see. I still maintain that it makes umpires look good instead of bad, because it shows you all the good calls they make. And also, even though the ones they may miss, they're only missing by like 0.2 of an inch. You can't get mad at the umpire for that. So I was worried that umpires are going to be unfairly, attacked for this. But I think it kind of shows you, one, how hard the job is, and two, how pretty darn good a lot of them are at it.
I agree with you on that. I'm amazed at how often in fact, part of my issue with the system is the number of times where, you need a microscope to see it's that close. In other words, it's a pitch that could be called a ball or a strike, which kind of reminds me of why I don't think I needed the system in the first place. But it's true that the only times any of those videos go viral is when it's way off, right? And then people
Right.
assume on that basis, like, oh, the umpires suck. They're terrible. It's like, well, no, that's 1 out of every 20 of those. Most of them, as you say, are pretty damn close or right on the black, so to speak, the whole bit.
I know. I mean, it's amazing when you see that they're off by less than 1/10 of an inch. I mean, that's crazy. That's like a fly couldn't have fly into the space that's between what's called a ball and what is a strike, you know? So, yeah, it's been, I think it's been good for the game. I've been fascinated by the teams that challenge calls because the Twins apparently lead the majors in pitches challenged, and some teams like Boston don't care. You know, that's interesting to see how that played out. And now there's strategy involved because you don't want to burn your 2 challenges early in the game because you may need one in a big moment late in the game. And if someone could correct me if I'm wrong here, but didn't Buxton's homer, didn't the first pitch of the game was called wrong and Buck challenged her after bat and it was changed? And then the next pitch he homered? I think that's what happened a couple of days ago. So you're going to have some humorous moments like that as well.
What's the Sunday column?
I went to Vikings OTAs Wednesday, and while everybody was, basically had all their binoculars out to see if J.J. McCarthy and Kyler Murray would even like smile and wink at each other, I was looking at Kyler Murray throwing passes to Juwan Jennings going, these guys are going to be good for the Vikings offense. Juwan Jennings may be better than Jordan Addison.
Calm down.
He might be. The potential for the Vikings aerial attack, I mean, you're going to have your annual conversation with KOC where you're going to argue that he doesn't run the ball enough, and he's going to look at his weapons and go, but look at these weapons I've got here. I liked what I saw from, because first of all, I think Kyler's going to be the starting quarterback. I don't think that's even a discussion. I feel bad for JJ, but I think that's just the reality. But Juwan being the third receiver in this group, that's big for the Vikings, I think.
Well, he's the kind of receiver he is encouraging. We talked about that with Gessling earlier today, right? Because he's a bigger physical receiver. And I think, though, what you got to remember is part of the reason they wanted him was he's considered a really good run blocker. So I think they're given a lot of other indications that they do finally want to improve their physicality and be more of a run, not like a full-time running team. But I wouldn't count out the fact that part of the reason they wanted him wasn't just that be a good third wide receiver for them, but that he does give them a different look as a receiver, but he also gives them a little bit different look as a blocker.
Yeah, but he also had 100 targets 2 years ago. He could be. Yeah. He can handle a load here. And as you pointed out, I look at his size. I'm thinking he's going to be Mr. Third Down. He's going to be the guy that's going to do the dirty work in third down and will help move the chains in the middle of the field.
All right. On that note, we're going to go. So that's the Sunday column. And any other? You usually have like a second part of the column. Was it the 3-2 pitch? No, the 1-2 pitch, or the ball 4? Is it ball 4? I can't remember what you say.
No, I've got a Lynx note, and then I've got a Twins note, and I got 2 of my usually bad predictions at the end.
Are any of those predictions, have you ever gotten one of them right?
I've gotten a couple. I think I'm batting. If I went back and tried to run stats, I think I've probably got 32% of them correct.
Yeah, that's not as bad as I thought it was going to be worse than that. 32% is probably doable. Because part of the bid on the predictions is they got to be pretty bold, right? Otherwise, why make them?
Well, they got to be at least provocative. Like, what the hell is he up to here?
That's it. That's exactly it.
So that's the goal. I try to write the whole thing kind of breezy and light and just make it an easy read on Sundays. I figured if I'm not going to write something, because it's going to change. This month's going to be busy because we got, Special Olympics are in town in June. There's a women's PGA at Hazeltine in June. The Twins are home. I guess they got some heavy hitters at home. The Lynx are now in full swing. There's a lot of stuff going on in June where I may punt the 3-2 and write, more of a meaty topic for Sunday. We'll see how the month plays out. I was just looking ahead. We got a new boss here, so she likes everything plotted out in advance. So I was looking at my next month, and I was like, oh, we got the World Cup, too. How could I forget the World Cup? On June 11th. So we got a lot of stuff going on this month that may call for a different approach.
Well, if you're plotting this sort of thing, we are, as of today, 90 days off of the Great Minnesota Get-Together.
Wow.
So you might want to book a date now with Guardsy.
Hey, I was thinking, I haven't been to a concert there since Robert Cray, and that was like
No, a long time ago.
18 years ago.
Yeah.
I may have to go to this Jimmy Jam one.
Yeah,
Because he's got everybody.
He's got everybody. Yeah, it sounds like it. We're going to try. Hopefully, we can get him on from there too.
I'm guessing you're going to have him on stage there, or at least in studio before the fair.
Hell yes, hell yes. I'd like to get him on Fox 9. Enough said too. We'll see. He's kind of a busy guy though, but we'll do our best. We'll
and
try
that's
to
a
figure
Saturday
something
show, Lavelle. So that's not going to help us at all for if you're trying to pair up a bumper to bumper appearance.
Oh, good point.
It's a Saturday show.
You're right.
So you're going to need to look at some. If you want to do weekday shows, then come on out. We're not doing a Saturday show.
Although I guess we could mix it up a little bit.
You're right. You could, though.
Yeah, there you go.
He may do Sunday service.
You never know. We'll see. We'll talk to him. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.
All right, take care.
See if this works. No, that doesn't work for me. I don't know what the deal is. The cursor's not working, so guards, you have to take care of the call on the other end. It's Lavelle Neal III, as only he can present himself. Back in just a couple minutes here, the final 30 minutes, because we're not leaving early. It's live and local all the way until 6:30, and we will try to make it worth your while when we come back.
Bumper to Bumper with Dan Barrero on The Fan.
From the 1-800-ASK-GARY Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored
I've come to realize that one of the problems with the techno music, the pod safe music is it's all so overmodulated
It's
and
loud.
that it doesn't really give you much of a chance to fade into anything else when I'm prepared to do exactly that.
It's improved my reflexes, though.
Well,
I feel quicker now than I did 5 years ago.
Had to. This strikes me as done as material for sure. I don't even know. I don't even know sometimes what to say. But the mayor of the city of Chicago, Mayor Johnson, has vowed they've had some difficulties with what they call "quote unquote" teen takeovers. I think this is a subject. In fact, one of the TV stations here just did a story on concerns in that sense, in that regard. I know it's been it's been a big issue in Chicago. And definitely ends up being a big issue every summer. And so the mayor did one of those, I don't know if it was a press conference or he just was speaking into a camera. It was a video. He has vowed to fight teen takeovers by, quote, holding social media platforms accountable. And I'm trying to digest that and interpret that about what it says about the done-as nature of the world in which we live. Because, first of all, we all want to hold social media companies accountable for everything.
They've ruined all of our lives.
They've ruined everything.
Yep.
The root of all evil. We get all of that.
Yep.
They're not lovable in many, many ways. On the other hand, we say, well, are we, in a sense, shooting the messenger sometimes where it makes it easy to not concentrate on what we need to concentrate on? And in this case, unless it can be shown to me how, if you're one of these social media outlets, how are you supposed to prevent, I guess, quote unquote, announcements? Because I'm assuming the announcements don't say teen takeover about assembling wherever. How are you supposed to take away people's opportunities to communicate with one another? And in fact, in many other contexts, including when there was a important belief in mobilizing in the streets of Minneapolis, right, to protest ICE, for example, those mechanisms were vital to communicate with people. So at what point as mayor do you go, I can go down this road and maybe it'll make me feel better about myself and some people feel better about, more hating on social media and social media agencies that can often be our own worst enemy. But is there a part of me that says I might be missing the thread to blame the social media agencies themselves for whatever takes place when people assemble? Might I focus and target some of my ire, my anger, and my frustration on the propensity to exhibit the behavior itself? Because the act of assembling shouldn't and doesn't have to be a bad thing, right? But there doesn't seem to be much appetite for that. And I just think it conveys, it's almost comical to me, if it wasn't so sad, the message that it conveys. But by God, these incidents keep happening, and how are these kids knowing where they're supposed to show up? Are we in a free society really going to try to decide when and how we're going to let people communicate to one another, or with one another, I guess I should say? Where's the line on that? And why is there no ability or willingness to confront the behavior itself, call out the behavior itself, and make that, because I think you can say, well, it's all a big part of it. But if you make this your emphasis, aren't you kind of sending the wrong message? For me, that'd be sending the wrong message. Am I missing something?
I don't know if you are. I'm trying to think. We've had other examples of this where rather than penalize the people that are actually doing it, you take it like a step back.
Well, in the case locally here, and I think it's come elsewhere before, is the notion we sued Kia, right? Because the cars were too easy to break into.
That's right.
And
what?
So
I don't mean to laugh. But
that was the bit on it. And look, maybe there should be some minimum. Maybe that's the reality, that there should be some minimum standards in that regard. But it again, just left out. We all talk constantly about the importance of what we say publicly and the statements we send out and the messages we convey. And I can't, again, help come away from this saying, aren't we conveying the wrong message if we're sending, well, these kids wouldn't do this if they didn't know where to go? Is it realistic in a free society to prevent that from happening in 2026? Who are we kidding? I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Whatever the case may be, I'll be glad to take some text on this very, very controversial subject, because I don't quite get it. Now, if what we're saying is, I mean, to me, if there's a way to hold the individuals who send out these messages responsible, if that's what this is leading to,
right,
that makes more sense to me. But that's not so much, again, about the media, the social media machinery itself, as it is trying to use that machinery in this case to get to the individuals who are responsible for bringing people together. So we'll see. I'll get to a couple texts, and we'll come back, wrap up a very controversial edition of the program when we return.
You're listening to Barrero.
Sure, commercial-grade pressure washer since 1975.
It's the Bumper to Bumper Show Wrap.
All right, we are wrapping up a very busy program today that included an extended in-studio visit. First time in way too long with Mayo Clinic Big Knocker Bill Maurice. I've said this before to you. You got to hold me to it this time. We have to get back to not weekly on the Knocker, but probably monthly, don't you think?
Yeah.
Or at least once every other month.
Yeah.
There's got to be a way. And we get busy, obviously, during the football season, especially football/basketball seasons as they merge. But I think he's too good. Every time we have him on, I'm reminded. There's much good stuff to talk about, even post-COVID. So we just have to try to make that a fixture once again. A lot of people would like to hear it and see it, I think. And we thank him for stopping to see us between 4 o'clock today. And I even extended him into the beginning of the 5 o'clock hour.
I've known him for 6 years.
Has it been that long now? Yeah, that makes sense. You're right.
It was about this time.
You're right.
The spring of 2020 when we first started having the Knocker on, and then it became a weekly thing.
Lavelle was with us at about 5:30, and we disagreed, as we sometimes do, on his belief that there's really not that big of a tanking issue in the NFL and NBA. I don't know what he's watching, but it's significant. It's not just the bottom three teams. I think the tougher question is whether this new approach to the lottery will have the desired impact. We'll find out. I think it's worth at least pursuing at this point. And early Ben Gessling. We had him on early to accommodate everybody else's schedule today. So we talked with Ben a little bit about his coaching and a lot about the Minnesota Vikings, including his own thoughts regarding the quarterback conundrum, etc. That was between 3:30 and 4 o'clock. Do we have any hockey tonight on the Fan?
We do. Game 5. Montreal and Carolina. That's right. Your screen's broken. Montreal, Carolina, Game 5.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Maybe it just has to be rebooted. Sometimes that happens on that screen, too.
Carolina looking to advance, take on the Colorado Avalanche. Could be an interesting series in the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, we have. It's interesting. We have a segment of our audience that gets it and a segment of our audience that doesn't. And the segment of our audience that doesn't think that all we're doing is just purposefully misinforming. The bit goes, our bits are multi-layered. This bit goes all the way back to Twins Yankees.
Yeah.
That's what do we call it? The antecedent? Would that be it? I don't know if that's the right term for this.
It's the origin story.
It's definitely the origin story. So it's not just trying to pick, like you're talking about one sport and then you pick the commissioner of another sport just for the sake of the entertainment value.
We love that one, too.
And yeah, we love all those, but that's not what this one has nothing to do with just purposefully saying the wrong thing. You either know it or you don't. But that should be a pretty good clue. I'll give you the clue again if you need it. Year after year, the ball guys told us, stop being mad when the Twins lose to the Yankees in the postseason. And what they told us was the Yankees were unbeatable. And then Gargi and I would look up and track the World Series for that year, and we would just assume the Yankees are in it. We would even, in one year, I think, break down matchups between the Yankees and the National League team.
It was a dark time for the show just in general. There wasn't a lot going on, so we had to go much deeper.
And all we're doing is the exact same thing with the Colorado Avalanche because we've been told over and over that you can't beat them. They're unbeatable, and it's unfortunate we have to play them in the second round because they're going to go on from here and not look back. So hopefully that's about as much leading to the – what's that saying about you can lead a horse to water?
But you can't make him drink.
I'm not going to make you drink, but I'm going to say we've led you as close to the water line as we possibly can with exactly that. By the way, we didn't get to this. Is there any chance that Carson Wentz could beat out McCarthy for the number 2 QB? That's a fascinating question.
Depends on his shoulder.
Is
his arm available?
We might examine that on sermons, actually, because I am back on Sunday. I think Blake Moore's back. I hope his soccer team is not playing this week.
For relegation?
Yeah, because, they won. So I think they avoided relegation. But he admitted to me that Sinekin was going to be on his own for the second hour because I think that game started at 10 or maybe it was finishing between 10 and 11. So hopefully there's no soccer to distract Brett Blakemore this week.
He's easily distractible.
He is.
I like how open he is that he's just going to be completely unprofessional.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a new generation.
Yeah. Is that what we call him?
That only happened to me one time on Sunday when Andy Murray was trying to win Wimbledon. If you remember, he could never win Wimbledon. A guy from Great Britain hadn't won it in like 100 years.
Yeah.
Like the weight of a nation had been on his shoulders. So I'll admit I was Blakemore that day because I was watching it in the chair that you're sitting in because I was pulling for him. And he had some heartbreak in the finals.
I get that.
So I'll give Blakemore a pat.
I will too on that.
Yeah.
But, if you're in here.
Brett, his teams are always like... His team, they play every week.
And with the time difference, they're playing...
Yes.
During Sunday sermons a lot of the time, right? That's the issue. Well, okay, we got to try to make the thing work.
That's better than when Halvey used to run the board for us, and I looked over one time, and he was staring up at this TV. I'm like, trying to get him to talk to me. I'm like, I wonder what he's watching. He was watching SpongeBob SquarePants, and he found that more interesting than whatever topic I was talking about.
Lottie Divots.
That really made me feel good in the host chair.
Don't forget, enough said tonight, 7:30 on the Plus, and I think 10:30, kind of our new regular time.
Yes, 10:30 on Fox 9.
During summer football season, the UFL on Fox 9. We do talk about the police chief's resignation in Minneapolis.